One thing I'm going to teach you is everybody tells you you need to forgive. Nobody teaches you how.
Hi, friends. Welcome to the New Normal Big Life podcast. We bring you natural and integrative health information and stories about nature that we hope will inspire you to get outside and adventure, along with a step-by-step plan to help you practice what you've learned, create your own new normal, and live the biggest life you can dream. I'm your host, Antoinette Lee, the Wellness Warrior. Let's get into today's topic. Welcome back to New Normal Big Life, Katharine Giovanni. Why don't you start with who you are, what you do, and the one big idea you plan to share with us from your expertise today?
Well, my name is Katharine Giovanni, and I am a forgiveness educator and a transformation mentor, author, speaker, blah, 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 blah. And the one thing I'm going to teach you is everybody tells you you need to forgive. Nobody teaches you how. And what if you don't want to? Then what do you do? I actually teach you how.
I love that so much. Today's episode is going to be dedicated to a loyal friend and listener, Ed. Ed's been listening for a while, and in our X Space community, we talked about the topic of forgiveness in your episode, and Ed had a question that we'll take later on. But Ed, thank you so much for being such a dedicated wellness warrior, and I hope this response helps you in your journey. So, for listeners who are not familiar with forgiveness and haven't listened to our episode, can you talk about what forgiveness is and in the context of personal growth and healing, and why do we need to forgive, or should we forgive?
Well, let's first talk about the things that people are saying about forgiveness that are wrong, flat out wrong. First of all, if I forgive you, it doesn't mean I want a relationship with you. I probably don't, to be fair. If I forgive you, it doesn't mean all of a sudden we're buddy buddies again and I want to go out for coffee and I want to rekindle the relationship. You're still a dumpster fire. You're still awful. You still have to make amends. You still don't deserve my forgiveness. That's not going to change. Well, if I forgive Catherine, it means that I'm admitting they were right and I was wrong. No, that's also wrong. Forgiveness, you do it for you. You're not doing it for them. It's never for them. You're doing it for you. The formal definition of forgiveness for me means simply, I want you out of my head. That's it. I want to stop thinking about you. I want to stop dreaming about you. And if I go to a bakery and I smell an apple pie, I want to stop getting triggered by smells and things I see around. And the method and the system that I've created is to allow you to not only forgive, but to get rid of all those triggers so you can finally become the person you were always meant to be.
Well, after our last episode, I did some forgiveness work with my parents. And I love my parents. I'm really grateful for the life they gave me. But, they were children during the Great Depression, living on farms. And they had a harsh life. And it had big consequences for them. If they messed up, dangerous things could happen, right? And so they were hyper, I think, punitive with us, and withholding love and attention, and also today we call it spankings. Back then they call it beatings. And
I'm right. I'm in the same, my parent, right there with you.
It created this fear, and on one hand, I loved my parents, but also I was afraid of them.
Oh, we were all scared to death of them.
Exactly. And so when I did the forgiveness work, what I immediately noticed is when I watched something that dealt with difficult family relationships, whether it's on television or in a video podcast that I was watching, I didn't cry anymore. It didn't take me back to being like a 5-year-old kid afraid that your mother was going to lose control while she's spanking you and you wouldn't survive that.
Remove the emotional charge.
Exactly.
That's what it does. And it changes your perspective. I'm from New York City originally, lived there for 30 years. And there's this other saying that irritates me: forgive and forget. We never forget anything if you're from New York, ever. So we're not going to forget what happened, never. But it does change your perspective because now you can look at the love. Now you can look at at a soap opera or a movie on TV, and the same scenario isn't going to break you down in tears, which you just proved. Your perspective changed.
And a lot of people think of forgiveness as they're letting the person they're forgiving off the hook, but it doesn't actually benefit the person doing the forgiving. I'm sorry, but it does benefit the person who's doing the forgiving, not the
Right.
person being forgiven. Can you tell us about that and how this forgiveness process is a powerful tool?
You're doing it for you. You're not doing it for them. And they're still wrong. As I said before, they're still a dumpster fire. They don't deserve your forgiveness. Let me be clear. They probably don't deserve your forgiveness. That's fair. You're not doing it for them. So, everybody watching this on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being unforgivable and 1 being the easiest person in the world, 10 out of 10 of you are all thinking of your unforgivables. And that's fair. That's normal. But my system is going to start you off on the other end. And we're gonna get to the unforgivables later. So a little science for you. Why do you want to do this? What is forgiveness going to actually do for you? And I said this in the last episode, but I'll say it again just to be brief. There was a study done in Japan called the Japanese water study, and what he did is he took 2 containers of water. Stay with me. 1 container of water, all he did was talk to it. He said beautiful, loving words to it. The other container of water, hate, nothing but hate. Then he froze the water, put it under a microscope. The water he spoke love to had these beautiful crystal formations. The water he spoke hate to had these malformations that were ugly and nasty. The human body is over 95% water. So when your self talk is bad, when you are with anger, what do you think you're doing to the water cells within your own body? This is why people say anger and stress make you sick. That's the science behind it. You're literally making yourself sick. And if you're always looking, and I'm holding a purple cup in front of my face, if you're always looking at anger, I can't conduct my life. I can't even see you anymore. But if you, by using my system, it's going to allow you to move your little cup of anger out and you'll be able to pay attention to life around you.
How can someone recognize if they're carrying some unforgiveness? How does it show up in their lives? And what are some of the symptoms?
Well, you're probably sick and tired of being sick and tired. You get every Tom, Dick, and Harry flu bug that comes down. If there's a germ, you'll get it. Um, you're constantly looking at life on other people. Well, the grass is greener over there. You're saying, and your self-talk is probably bad. And you're always thinking in the past. You're always thinking about what happened, and you're telling the story. I told my story for years. I'm a child suicide survivor, and I've been sober for how many years, Antoinette? 35, I guess. Lost count. And I'm a cancer survivor, and my parents were both alcoholics. So connect all those dots. And it was kind of a volatile childhood, right? And for years, I carried my story around like a badge of honor. I mean, I would tell stories about it, I would joke about it, and I would tell this funny stories, dysfunctional funny stories, and I'd get people to laugh. But I was still telling the stories. I was still living as the child who was abused and all of these kinds of things. And I wasn't able to live my authentic self because I was always looking at the past. I was sick all the time. I got stomach aches all the time, headaches all the time. I started to drink at one point. These are all signs. Now, why you're in the same job and you can't seem to get another job, or you keep dating the same guy over and over again? Why you keep dating that same kind of guy? You keep getting the same kind of boss at work. What's up with that? Yeah, it's a forgiveness thing and I can help.
A lot of people don't realize that some of the constant recurring themes in their lives have a thread, and that
Yep.
thread is likely some unresolved forgiveness issues. So, beyond obvious grudges, what subtle ways might unforgiveness show up in your life for someone?
You can forgive people, places, and things. Please don't click off. Stay with me. Science has proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is energy around everything. And I'll answer your question in a second. This is all prep work. There's, including this little silver microphone that I'm talking into right now, there's an energy field around it. So I get people all the time that says, Catherine, I did forgive them, but they keep coming back into my life. That's because you didn't forgive the energy. That's the secret sauce. So you can be driving down the road and you'll see your grammar school out of the corner of your eye. Well, it's going to immediately put you into a bad mood, but you won't know why. I know why, because you were bullied in that school and it triggered you. But you don't remember because it was grammar school. You'll go into the cafeteria and you'll see a turkey sandwich with cranberry sauce, and then all of a sudden you'll be biting people's heads off. Why? Because maybe you have a memory somewhere where there was a turkey sandwich and somebody threw it at you, or was some horrible Thanksgiving, and it's triggering a memory. So, how do you remove the triggers? You can forgive people, places, and things. You forgive the building. You forgive the energy around the building. You forgive the table, the chairs, the desk. I'm actually not kidding. The energy around all these things. You pick apart the memories so you can get rid of those triggers. Making sense, right?
You are making perfect sense. And I actually practiced that since our last conversation. And what I learned is that I really needed to forgive the VA system for the
Yep.
horrible care that I initially got. It took 5 years to get help. And what I
Oof.
noticed was every time I walked into a VA system, a building, whether it's a doctor's office or hospital, getting x-rays, whatever it was, I would feel extremely anxious. I'd feel nauseous. I felt sicker on the way in than I did before I left my home.
We're at
And
the
I
VA a
needed,
lot, so I can relate to this.
I needed to forgive the system, the Veterans Administration system. And now when I go in to get my vitals checked, for example, my blood pressure is not spiking off the charts. I don't have a headache. My pain didn't suddenly escalate to level 25 on a scale of 1 to 10. So, for listeners, this really does work.
It's an amazing thing that you can go into the VA and you're not triggered by anything, and all you did was forgive the energy. So, what is the science behind what I'm talking about? And we're both talking about forgiving buildings and chairs and VA system. You can forgive anything. You can forgive the date in the calendar. You can forgive a city. You can forgive a building, a table, a chair, a bed, the park. You forgive anything. You can forgive anything that comes on CNN. Anything. Anybody. Now, what's it going to do for the person you're forgiving? Absolutely nothing, but it's going to do great things for you. And the energy behind it is when you get angry, and I'm the only one in the world that ever had wondered about it. When anger leaves your mouth, you assume it goes into the universe and it dissipates into thin air like a radio wave. It does not. It hangs around your energy field and it stays there until you clear it. So by the time you're older, you're pretty if you don't start to forgive, you're literally walking around in a little black cloud. And it's going to start affecting the water cells in your body and you start to feel sick. So when you forgive, it's going to actually clear out all the dark energy from your field and you're going to be able to see life again. You're going to be able to taste coffee. You're going to be able to go into the VA and it's not going to bother you. Now, will somebody bother you in the VA? Yeah, it's the VA. Somebody's going to do something stupid. It is what it is. But you're not going to go up to a number 10 anger anymore. You might go to a 3. You're going to notice you're angry and you're going to say, and you're going to easily toss it. That's what I'm saying.
So, forgiveness work can feel, I don't know, emotionally intense, but also deeply transformative. And it's so
Hmm.
useful. How should someone prepare mentally, emotionally, and practically before diving in?
Um, That's a good question. I actually just dove in when I created this system. There was no prep work. I think to mentally prepare yourself, I'm not telling you to go to your number unforgivable 10, your parents, whoever, it's usually family. That's number 10s, your usual business partners, relationships, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever, and mother, father, sister, brother, that kind of thing. It's just in my experience, family will really mess you up. And I'm asking you to do the easy ones first. The person who cut you off in traffic yesterday. I want you to start with the person who stole your sandwich out of the company refrigerator and keeps doing it. Don't replace the sandwich with hot sauce so you hurt them. You just forgive them. So I want you to start with the easy ones. Mentally preparing yourself is I'm not asking you to go right to the dark side. I'm asking you to just be alone and be willing to forgive. And eventually, we're going to get to those people you always vowed you would never forgive. One of them might be yourself. We'll talk about that too. And I can go through the system real fast if you want me to.
We'll get to that in a moment. I wanted to ask you, what are some beginner friendly tools or practices you can recommend to make this rewarding but difficult practice your own?
Before you do the system, if you want to start warming up, and what I humans are humans. They're excuse my language, but they're gonna piss you off because that's what humans irritate other humans, right? So when I get irritated, I've been known to go out in my car and say, I forgive them, I forgive them, I forgive them, I forgive them, I forgive them. Do I mean any of them? Probably not in the moment, not even one. But it puts me into that forgiveness, gratitude type of thing. And then once I get it out, I think of the three things I'm most grateful for. Even if it's only because I have a hot cup of coffee next to me, I immediately think about the things I was grateful for. And then I put this person on my forgiveness list that you're going to do every night before bed. So if you haven't started the forgiveness practice, start waking up and thinking about the three things that you're most grateful for. Even if there's water running through the pipes in my house, it might be just that. Some days are like that. But write down either before bed or first thing in the morning the three things you're most grateful for. And then just get into this I'm forgiving for me. You're not forgiving for them. You're forgiving for you because you're the prisoner. Buddha had this wonderful quote that says, anger is like a poison that you drink and hope the other person dies. I'm going to drink the poison and I'm hoping you're going to kick. Well, they're not going to kick. And the thing about it is, the other person you're mad at is probably not thinking about you at all. You're sitting there eating a pint of Ben and Jerry's ice cream. You're crying and you're sitting in the fetal position in your cat in your on your couch, and they're out having fun, living their life. They don't care. You forgive for
Yeah.
you. You're not doing it for them.
Not everybody's a self starter. Everyone won't be able to listen to this podcast or the previous episode and go through the steps and know exactly what to do and how to do it, but you've made it easy with an online class. Tell us about the Forgiveness Path class.
The Forgiveness Path is an online class because I understand not everybody likes to read, and I do have an audiobook, but not everybody likes an audiobook either. So it's 10 lessons, and they all come to your email box, and there's 10 in a row. You'll get a video from me that's anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes long, teaching 10 different lessons. And you're going to get some copy from me, and you're going to get the appropriate chapter of the book. And if you don't want to read, the appropriate audio chapter of the book, and you do that for 10 days. Now, you don't have to do it 10 days in a row if you're busy. You can squirrel those emails away and do them at your own pace if you want to. I have a friend who took the class and he just couldn't do the unforgivable lesson. It took him 2 weeks to open that email, but he finally did open the email and he got his way through it. But it's me exactly like you see me now with the exact same background, teaching you step by step exactly how to do it.
I love this. Let's talk about the first key list in your online class, the forgiveness list for others. What is that?
Now, in the class, you're going to make 3 lists. Now, when you do this practice, I want you to find a quiet place in your house or outside. I really don't care. I really don't want any other humans around you. You can have the animals if they're going to be good, but I want you to have uninterrupted time. I also would prefer it if your cell phone was off. I know you're twitching, and I apologize, but if you're twitching at the phone of turning your phone off, turn the volume off just for a moment. Just remember to turn it back on again so you don't miss things. Then I want you to sit down with a pad of paper and a pen, and I want you to write down, or your laptop, I don't care. I want you to write down all the people you think you have to forgive. All of them. Now, the first 3 to 5 names are going to be the number 10s, the unforgivables on the scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being unforgivable. Those 10s, those are going to be first. And then you're going to do the ones that are kind of still irking you. But keep going. Go all the way back to the sandbox in grammar school. Don't judge the list. If you write down a little red wagon and it just comes right out of your onto the paper, keep it there. Keep it there. Your brain is coming up with things that you might not remember. So, and I want you to keep going until you think you finish. My first list had 50 people on it. Overachiever here. Then I want you to rate all these people from 1 to 10, 10 being horrific. Now you could have 20 number 7s. I don't care. You could skip a number. I don't care. As long as you group them as good, better, best type of thing, right? Small, medium, large. Then I want you to do this before bed. And there's a reason why. Your body heals itself when you're sleeping. And I don't need you to get energy sickness because remember those water cells, the water cells have to go somewhere. And when I first did this practice, I tried to do all 50 in a row, all in one sitting. And I thought, I'm going to be like a phoenix rising from the ashes. I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and I'm going to be a brand new person. Yeah, didn't work out that way. Spent the next 3 days in bed with what everybody thought was a stomach flu. It was not the stomach flu. It was something we call energy sickness. And so your body heals itself when you're sleeping. So I don't really want you to do more than 10 a night. And if you're doing a very high number, 1 a night. And what I want you to do is I want you to take the first one. Let's say I'll take my own. It was a friend of mine from high school. And that was decades ago. And I couldn't even remember what we were mad at. So I looked at the name and I imagined in my mind's eye that she was standing in front of me. Not the adult, the kid from high school. That's who was standing in front of me. The original kid. And this is your time to get closure. Maybe the person has passed away and you never got closure. Now's your time because you're alone in a room. This is your party. You could scream, cry, dance. I don't care what you do. Say whatever it is you want to say. Things that you've always wanted to say. Get it all out. Then when you're done, put your hand in your heart just to remind you to say the words from your heart and say, I completely forgive Antoinette. I forgive the energy around Antoinette. I completely forgive myself. I forgive the energy around myself. I completely forgive the energy around the entire relationship. And so it is. Amen. However you want to end it. Now check in with your body. Was it a number 1 and now it's gone? Feel better? Okay, cross the person off the list. Go to the next person. Was it a number 4 and you're still mad? Okay, cross the number off. Is it a number 3 now or is it still a 4? Doesn't matter if it's a 3. Okay, write 3, wait 24 hours, do it again. And this happened to a friend of mine. I told you this one already, but she was sitting right in front of me. We were right together. She's a really close friend of mine. And she said, there's a level 5. And she said, this is going to be easy. I'll be able to toss this one, something from her childhood. And she made that first pass, only said that one prayer, and you could see the anger bubble up under her skin. And I looked at her and I said, what's wrong? She said, it's a 10. I'm furious, she said. That's because your brain protects you. And there's a closet in the back of your brain. And she said the magic words. And all of a sudden, memories came pouring out. So she changed it from a 5 to a 10, put it at the end of the list, and we kept going. This is a really, really powerful, powerful exercise. Very good for people with PTSD as well, because you're gonna be able to pick apart some of those memories. And I'm the only one on the planet that's ever going to look at you and say this. Possibly. You don't have to forgive the unforgivable. You don't.
So how do you
Why?
manage that?
Well, there's a lot of people, places, and things that you can forgive before you even get to that dumpster fire.
So what are clear signs that you need to add a person, a place, or a thing to your forgiveness list for others?
If there's an emotional charge there, you need to add it. And once you do the first list and you get people off of your list, your brain is sadly going to come up with more experiences. Your brain is never at a loss for things like that. And as these things come to you, write it down. Write it down in the notes. Send yourself an email. Write it down. Whatever you think has a forgiveness charge. I want you to trust your intuition, that little bird on your shoulder, your gut feeling. And when you're writing your list, write it from your gut. Right, and whatever, don't, and I can't say this enough. Don't judge the list. If you write down something weird or a name you don't recognize, like Bob, okay, obviously Bob would be a number one because you don't remember the guy. Put it on your list anywhere because some part of you probably did have an interaction with him and he bumped into you with the VA or something. Write it down.
So the next one, I've heard you say that it's the heaviest layer, and that's the self-forgiveness list.
Yeah, man.
Boy, I had such a great conversation with a fellow healthcare provider. We were both medics in the military, different branches, and we both realized that we had some self-forgiveness work to do for the people that we couldn't help as much as we would like to, or not at all. So, talk to us about the self-forgiveness list.
This is list number two. I would encourage you to make at least one pass at list number one before you go on to list number two. You don't have to get all the people off your list because this is not an overnight fix. You can't get an unforgivable down and forgive them overnight or in a week. It's going to take a minute, right? But you can knock out the low numbers. List number two is all the people that need to forgive you. And they could be events, they could be places, they could be memories, they could be people, they could be things you said to somebody that once the words are out, you can't grab them back as much as we'd want to. So you write a list of all the people, places, and things that you think need to forgive you. And then you rate them from 1 to 10, 10 being the worst of the worst, and 1 being easy. And you slowly go through the list. You just flip the words of the mantra a little bit. And I have a different mantra in my class to say, but what it's really is, Antoinette completely forgives me. You flip the language.
I like that. And it's very, very simple. So, I had this unconscious awareness that I needed to forgive myself. But
Mm-hmm.
what are some signs that people might be ignoring when they urgently need to do this self forgiveness work?
Their self-talk is probably bad. They're probably using a lot of negatives, oh, well, I'm nobody. I'm just a loser. I'd be better off dead. It's these kinds of, and you know what I'm talking about. We all know these kinds of people. And if everybody is looking at you saying your self-talk is horrible, it could be you have to forgive other people, but there's also a really, really legitimate chance that there's something in your past that you are beating yourself up for, and that's why you want to leave the planet. Write the list of who you think needs to forgive you. And as you move up the list, that closet in the back of your head is eventually going to open. That's why I tell people don't judge the list. And eventually, new memories are going to come into being. Don't start drinking again or anything like that. Just write down the memories as peacefully as you can. Some will make you angry. Let the anger. I am not one to tell people to stifle their anger. Scream into a pillow if you have to.
Another forgiveness list that I was so excited to see on your list was the money forgiveness list, because I can spot in people when they have some forgiveness work that they need to do around money. They are people who will say, every time I make a big purchase, I get physically sick. Or
Yep.
people who shop and shop and shop, retail therapy, those people. Talk to us about this list.
Money is a funny thing and it does really weird things to people. And everybody says money corrupts, and it actually doesn't. It just brings out the person you always. If you're used to chaos and you are used to living in survival mode, your body thinks that's your normal, your new normal. shall we say. And it's used to chaos, it's used to survival. So the minute you try and move out of that particular normal and you try to get more money and you get, your body is going to look at you and go, no, that doesn't feel good. So it's going to bring you back to your set point. So, how do you get your body to shut up and allow you to win the lottery and get a better life for yourself? Well, you forgive it. Money is simply energy. That's all it is. It's energy. And you can forgive energy. So you write down a list of all the money things. The apartment in New York that you had to live in right out of college because you couldn't afford anything better. It was in a bad neighborhood and it was over a fish market. You forgive your parents for their attitudes towards money. Maybe there was never enough money. Maybe, you never had enough food. You were raised in a bad neighborhood. Write all these things down. You can forgive the reason you had to go get that job that you were overqualified for. Write all these things down, rate them from 1 to 10, and there is a big one. You probably turned down a job or something happened. Maybe you had to rely on a boyfriend or a girlfriend because you didn't have any money, whatever it was. Write them down, rate them from 1 to 10. Again, go through the list and just keep going. Everything is forgivable. So when you're doing your money list, you write down people, places, events, things, buildings. Let your gut be your guide. Sit very quietly, and I'm not going to tell you to meditate because not everybody can. But what I really want everybody to do before any of these 3 lists is before you write your list, I just want you to sit in a quiet room and just with nothing, no music, just sit there quietly and just be. And if your mind goes to the grocery list and the 10,000 things you need to do, that's fine. Just squash it immediately and just sit and be for a minute. Then I want you to ask the universe to provide you with the information you need to do the exercise and then write the list. I usually ask the angels to help me because I am who I am. But if you don't believe in angels, then ask your higher power. And if you don't believe in a higher power, then just ask your gut.
Before we cover the next topic in this episode, I want to introduce you to the adventure sports lifestyle with what I call a microstory about an adventure that I've had. The adventure sports lifestyle and my deep connection to nature is essential to my good health. So here's the story. We're going to talk about paddling to a distant launch. I got in my kayak and headed out with Matthew from a launch on a section of river where I've never been. And I had no idea what to expect when I go around the bend. I was leading the way, reading and running the river on my own with Matthew behind me. And I came around the bend and got lodged on a rock that I didn't see. I knew in that moment it was going to take some effort to get off this rock. But before asking for help, and this wasn't stoicism, this was just me being self-reliant and resilient in the moment. I knew it would take a lot of effort to get off the rock, and I still had a full day, probably 3 to 4 hours of paddling ahead of me, but I was committed to doing this myself if I can. I inched forward, shifting myself by scooting myself off the rock. At first, it felt like I wasn't moving at all. And then suddenly I was heading downriver, being taken with the current. I did that. In that moment, I realized that this was a teachable opportunity for myself to think back on this day and remember how when I chose resilience, when I chose self-reliance, I was able to do a difficult thing on my own. And it took effort, but also a belief that it was possible that I could do this. And even if I needed to bail and use my whistle to call Matt over for help because he was far away from me, I knew that lifeline was there. So I knew I had community that could reach in and help me. But I felt really good that in a scary time, in a time that took effort and resilience, I was able to power through on my own. I hope this inspires you to get outside and adventure for the health and social benefits of it all. Now, back to today's topic with Katharine Giovanni. So let's go back to Ed's question. I'm going to paraphrase it for him. So Ed's question is, what steps can he take to forgive parents that, although they raised him well, their methods were very brutal and harsh and even violent in their disciplinary style? How can I forgive those parents is Ed's question.
The same way I forgave my father for very similar reasons. It's going to take you a while. It may take you months to get that. It took me months to get my father down to a forgivable level. When I first started, my dad was an unforgivable, and he's been dead for years. You can forgive dead people because where they are or are not doesn't matter a lick, because he was alive and well in my head. And I wanted to say things that I couldn't say anymore. So this method allowed me to get closure, and it allowed me to move beyond it because he was dead. So you can forgive the dead people. And when I first started, I didn't want to forgive dad. Had no interest in it. In fact, I didn't even want to forgive the energy around my father. That's how sensitive it was. So I took a memory and I picked it apart. I took one Christmas that was particularly awful, and I picked apart the memory. I forgave the house that we were living in the time and the energy around the house. And now, remember, I haven't forgiven dad yet, and I haven't forgiven the energy. I'm picking apart the memory. Now, check in with your body. Is it still a 10? It probably will be. Okay, wait 24 hours, pick another memory, do it again. It took me about 5 to 10 memories before I was finally willing to make my first pass at my father. Remember, this is over a course of, nights in a row, because I don't want you to get energy sickness. So it's like one night, one night, one night. And I finally decided, okay, I think I'm ready to forgive the energy around my father, not my dad. I forgave just the energy. I didn't forgive dad. I just forgave the energy around his body. And then that 10 kind of went to a 9.5. And I thought, okay, the needle moved just a little bit. And I continued doing it. And eventually, I was able to actually make my first pass at him. No, he didn't deserve it. No, he wasn't a great man in life. I did it for me. I did it so I would be free. And then I got all the way down to a 1, and I forgave him. So I realized that there were probably things I said to him that were probably horrific. And that's how I came up with that second list. So I made a list of all the things I could remember about me saying, when you're in the heat of anger and you're a teenager, you say things that probably are really hurtful. So I wrote them all down, all the ones I could remember. And I started going up the other way. So I forgave dad from a 10 to a 1. And then I went on 1 and I went the other way so he would forgive me. And I know this sounds very strange because he's dead, but now today our relationship is actually pretty good. I can look at pictures and I have absolutely zero emotional residue from it. And let me be perfectly clear. If it's something like a rape, for example, it's going to be very hard for you to forgive the rapist, if you ever can. I was attacked in college. Have I ever forgiven the person who attacked me? Eventually I did, but it took years. And I've been doing this forgiveness stuff a long time, but I forgave every part of the memory, and it took the pressure off. And eventually, after a while, I was able to actually forgive the attacker too. And if I had never been able to forgive the attacker, that would have been fine. You don't have to forgive the unforgivable. There are things in this world that are completely unforgivable, but you're not one of them. You can forgive yourself.
Thank you for your vulnerability, Katharine. I'm so sorry that you went through that, and I'm glad you found some tools that help. This has been such an insightful conversation. I hope the listeners will jump in and do this work, even if you don't think that you have anything that you need to forgive or anyone that needs to forgive you. I would say go through it. go through the exercise, because I am 100% sure you will find some forgiveness work that can help your life. What more would you like to leave listeners with?
If you are one of the people listening to this and saying, I'm good, I have nobody to forgive, I'm good, I want you to do me a favor. For the next 3 to 4 nights before you go to bed, I want you to say the following words. I completely forgive myself for the fact that I have nobody to forgive and the energy around that thought. And by the 3rd or 4th night, maybe sooner, your brain is going to open up a closet and you're going to start to remember little things. It could be from childhood. It could be the bully from 10th grade. It could be anything. Start writing a list. You can keep a pad of paper or your phone by your bed and start writing down the names. And then you can begin your forgiveness journey.
Wellness Warriors, you'll find links to Katharine's course and all of her socials and other ways to connect with her in the show description. But Katharine, would you just tell us how we can reach you?
You can reach me via my website at KatharineGiovanni.com.
Thank you so much for this conversation. Quick heads up, Wellness Warriors, I don't let just anyone into this mic time. The only sponsors I ever bring on are products that I plan to use, personally use, swear by, and that have legitimately moved the needle on my health and my family's. No fluff, no fillers, no junk. So if you're serious about leveling up your energy, sleep, recovery, skin, whatever your goal is, do not bounce early. Stay to the very end of this episode. I'm dropping some of my absolute ride or die brands and exactly how they've helped me feel unstoppable. These aren't random ads. They're tools I stake my name on. You'll thank me later. Keep it locked. We're going all the way to the finish line together.
Magnesium, an unsung hero, fuels over 300 bodily reactions, from heart health to stress relief. Magnesium expert Natalie Girardo, founder of Rooted In, found freedom from anxiety, insomnia, and pain through topical magnesium. It transformed my life, she says, inspiring her mission to share this mineral's power. Cardiologist Dr. Jack Wolfson calls magnesium essential for heart health, helping regulate rhythms, blood sugar, and reduce inflammation. Up to 80% of people may be deficient, facing issues like depression, migraines, insomnia, or muscle cramps. For women over 40, magnesium eases menopause symptoms, boosts energy, and supports bones. Choosing the correct type of magnesium matters. Real stories, Natalie's and mine, highlight its impact. After interviewing magnesium expert Natalie Girardo, I became a customer. I was already a magnesium fan, having been told by 2 cardiologists to take magnesium for a minor heart arrhythmia. Natalie explains it best in the Magnesium, the Mineral Transforming Lives episode of New Normal Big Life podcast. Fast forward after the interview, I bought the Rooted In bundle for sleep, tranquility, and pain relief. As a spine injury survivor with several other health challenges, I'm in constant pain. However, I don't take any pain medication. Rooted In is now one more source that nature provided to give our bodies what it needs when it needs it. You can find magnesium in natural bodies of water like lakes and rivers and in soil. But modern farming practices have stripped magnesium out of the soil and our food. That's why today, Rooted In's rest, relief, and tranquility are part of our afternoon and nightly sleep routine. My guy who did 2 tours kicking indoors in Iraq with the Marines now has no trouble falling asleep. I no longer have to take melatonin before bedtime to fall asleep. So after I became a customer and saw how well these products worked, I applied to become an affiliate. I've been sharing the secrets of Rooted In with friends and family from age 38 to 68, and everyone has gotten amazing results within minutes of applying the cream. Do something naturally good for yourself. Get Rooted In. Click my affiliate link in the episode description to shop now. When you're planning an adventure camping, rafting, RVing, or mountaineering, you'll need quality food with sufficient vitamins, minerals, and nutrients to fuel your adventure. My partner, Ready Hour, is here to help you ahead of time. Ready Hour has a long history of providing calorie-rich, reliable, and delicious nourishment for life's unexpected situations and adventures. They're part of a family of companies that have served millions of people like you for decades. My family and I use Ready Hour products for camping, mountaineering, and disaster preparedness for 5 years now. They're not just reliable, they're also your affordable option too. Long-term storable food shouldn't break the bank. That's why they have great sales and payment options for you. It's your bridge to safety and survival when you're on an adventure. So make your next decision your smartest decision. Be ready for adventure tomorrow, today. Trust Ready Hour. Ready to shop? Use my affiliate link in the show description.
The information in this podcast is not medical advice and should not be treated as such. Always consult your physician or healthcare professional before pursuing any health-related procedure or activity.